Hello guys, it's Ben here, back with another video for you, and this is my review of last night's game, as after a very disappointing, frustrating, hair-pulling, frustrate everything you can think of, showing from Tottenham Hotspur last night, we did salvage a point right at the end as we drew 1-1 against Wolves. A lot of conflicting emotions for many reasons. Angry that we didn't win the game, frustrated that we seemed to make a lot of mistakes, hugely relieved that we got something out of it. We'll go through all of that at the end, but let's skip right in and see what actually happened. So the lineup was, as expected, Vicario in goal. The back four was Ramiro, Van der Ven, Udogie and Jed Spence. The midfield three, curiously, Palhinha, Bentancur and Bergvall, with the front three of Savage and Mins on the left, Kudus on the right, Richarlison through the middle. The first half actually wasn't so bad. We had some very good opportunities. As has been common so far this season, Kudus is the being creator of the team. Feeding the balls into the box. Richarlison nearly gets on the end of one. With a breakthrough that Bergvall can't quite control. And Kudus is a goal disallowed. In fairness, it was offside, but it was a lovely move and fit, Kudus then has a header that somehow Johnston, the Wolves goalkeeper, flicks and saves it onto the crossbar to clear it. Not that we were dominating. I mean, Wolves were in the game even in the first half, but we had chances to get in front. And even though at half time it was only 0-0, you thought, okay, keep that momentum going, and second half the goal will come, and we'll push on from there. However, the second half went completely the wrong way from our point of view. Firstly, called it a Wolves, floated into the box, headed in, and Vicario, you really should have caught it. It's going towards him. It's not moving that quickly. It's right in front of him. He really should catch it. He tries to push it clear. His clearance flicks off of Palhinha, who obviously can't move out of the way of it. It falls straight to Bueno, who just taps it into the empty net to make it 1-0 to Wolves. And then I think you could say that we just folded, but I think the more appropriate word is panicked. We just seemed to start chasing everything, trying to force play rather than actually work the ball and get into a position where we could have created Wolves problems. We just kept floating crosses in that every single time Wolves just headed it clear, and it's one of those scenarios that just makes it's so frustrating to watch. Wolves nearly could have made it 2-0 a couple of times as well. They seemed very comfortable. The game just seemed to be fizzling out, and we just started pot shotting from 40 yards out, and just hoping simply for a miracle. It seems like the game's going to end and we're going to lose, and but then, as we head into the final minute of stoppage time, Telu came on as a substitute, floats a sort of half cross into the edge of the box. Kudus controls it beautifully, lays it off. Paulinho runs onto it, connects perfectly, side boots and guides it into the bottom corner to salvage a point for Spurs. And it was a brilliant finish, brilliantly controlled. He didn't try to smash it, he guided it into the corner. And the feeling was just, because, I've seen us play that game many times over the years, and we would have lost. We'd have been pushing, hoping for something to happen, and Wolves probably would have scored a second. But like I said last week against Brighton, it's a game we would have lost, but we got, something out of it. So we do manage to rescue a point as the game finishes 1-1. But, there were things that need to be looked at. So I think, given we had enough of this season so far to, have a think of, what we've seen, how the team's performed, and the way Thomas Frank's been approaching things to see, you know, at least have a good idea of how we feel this might go. I do think Thomas Frank is still trying to uh, accommodate certain pieces of the team. Obviously, the lack of Madison and Kulusevski out long term, Solanke being injured as well, means that there isn't a true number 9 striker up there. So, which obviously doesn't help. But the I don't know if it's persistence or experiment of. I mean, Xavi Simons is. He was on the left wing against West Ham and did okay. He came on as a substitute against Brighton in number 10 and completely turned the game around on its head. And then yesterday he was on the left again and didn't really affect the game at all. Is that, I don't know if Thomas Frank thinks that's what he is or if he's just trying to experiment with different positions, but if you need to utilize your best players in their best role, and that is Simmons' best role. I don't know if it's maybe we need to switch the formation up, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at. As I mentioned at the start, the midfield three, Bergvall, Palhinha, and Bentancur. You don't need to. I always say you need one holding midfielder in any game. I do believe that. But for these kind of games, I don't think it's necessary to have two in there. Because most of those kind of games, you will have the ball like between 60 to 65% of the game in most situations, and you don't need to have people sitting in. You can be more expressive, and I think you could have easily dropped one of them for yesterday. If you were going to do it, I think Paulinho, to be fair, he's been outstanding for us all season, and he's probably earned a permanent spot in the team now. I certainly hope we make that loan deal permanent for next season because he's been probably our best player so far for us. So, but I think that's something else again that needs to be looked at. I've heard a lot of question marks. I think Vicario, he is a good keeper. Maybe not keeper, but I don't think great. Put it like that. I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of very good attributes. He's a brilliant shot stopper. But every so often he does have those. You look at last week, the second goal against Brighton, he really should have done better with that. I mentioned it on, last night, the goal last night. He really should have caught that, to be fair. There was no need to clear it. Obviously, think back the Europa League final, we nearly messed that up when Van Ven had to rescue him. Those are the kind of little mistakes he needs to iron out in his game. He's still very young in terms of a goalkeeper, but obviously big players can improve, but that those kind of little mistakes we can't really afford to have. So, but as I said, it's the thing we've all acknowledged at the start of the season. This is a work in progress, and it's for inside who it's easy to forget who did finish 17th last season. It was never going to be we're going to win every game. The minute the new manager comes in, we've started off good. I think there's been more good than bad so far. Burnley we won comfortably. Man City away we were brilliant. West Ham away we were brilliant. Even Brighton last week, to come back from 2 down, there's been a couple of blips here and there. Bournemouth, and obviously last night wasn't very good as well. But there might be periods of rough stretches for us. So hopefully we get over that. Hopefully once we get everyone, if Solanke comes back soon, and fingers crossed, Kulusevski's not too far away either, because I think we would really click in if he comes back. The team's only really like at 50% of what it could do. So, You know, it's all right. You are allowed to, you know, be disappointed and frustrated last night without, you know, resorted to thinking, you know, that the season's over. The season's only just started, and you know, every team. Look at yesterday. Liverpool losing against Palace, Chelsea losing at home. You know, teams have those results over the course of a season. It all balances out. So, you know, hopefully that's was a blip last night. As I said, we at least got something out of it rather than nothing, which would have happened in years gone, even last season. So we move on to Tuesday night. Second Champions League giveaway at Bodo Glimt. Go over there, get a win, make that 2 wins out of 2, and then we move on to next Saturday where we take on Leeds before the international break, and hopefully, you know, we go over there with a win, and then we have 2 weeks to hope flat on that momentum and now push on. But anyway, what did you guys make of it all? Let me know as ever. Hope you've all enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you soon, and as always, come on, you Spurs.